The Republic of Vanuatu. People here live their lives alongside the most powerful forces of nature. Get up close with active volcanoes, or dive deep to seek underwater treasures. It's a place where tribal cultures continue to thrive, even though modernity has taken hold. This is the most famous volcanic island in southern Vanuatu. In the 18th century, British explorer James Cook visited the island, but was not allowed to climb Mount Yasur. Eddie is the volcano administrator. He checks the crater for fallen stones from volcano eruptions every day.
This is the new one. That's on Friday. So it's still hot, warm, and it's very dangerous when you grab it like this. You will cut.
People today are luckier than Cook, as they're allowed to stand at the volcano's mouth. Eddie carefully patrols the crater to clear away any potential dangers for the coming visitors. The Vanuatu Islands are located on the Pacific Ring of Fire. Vanuatu is known as the State of Volcano Islands. There are 9 active volcanoes here, 3 underwater and 6 on different islands. Mount Yasur is 1,084 meters above sea level and is still highly active. In fact, it erupts every few minutes. Visitors come here to witness the awesome power of its eruptions.
So I feel very good and happy. Just feel like a nature talking to me, to the humans. The volcano, we call it Yasur volcano. We call it Yasur because it's our God. We believe in a volcano that can help us.
Dusk is the best time to observe volcanic activities. At 4 p.m., about 40 visitors gather at the foot of the mountain. After performing a traditional ceremony to ask for permission to climb the mountain, they start making the climb. Mount Yasur is known as the most approachable active volcano in the world. People can stand at the crater and see for themselves how the red magma erupts.
I came here like hundreds and thousands of times, but really feel that, yeah, it's very interesting to stay at the crater. Now it's level 2, level 1 and 2, and it's a good level for everyone to visit. Level 3, it's quite dangerous. That where we are now, there's lots of lava flying over here, and also to the car park. And level 4, yeah, you can see the lavas flying everywhere.
People on Tanna Island no longer fear volcanoes. They've lived with them their whole life and are used to their thunderous rumblings. In fact, the fertile soil mixed with volcanic fragments brings prosperity to the nearby villages. And tourism also brings in healthy revenues. In addition to its 82 islands, Vanuatu has a 680,000 square kilometer marine exclusive economic zone and over 2,500 kilometers of coastline filled with magical experiences. British visitor Anna hopes to remember her wonderful vacation at Vanuatu in a very special way.
These are waterproof postcards, and at the back over here where you put your address where the card's going to be sent to.
Yeah.
Sending a postcard is nothing special, but not everyone can say they've sent a postcard from an underwater post office. And that's what makes Kevin so special. He works at the world's only underwater post office.
This one goes to the United Kingdom, and this one's from Victoria, Australia. This one from FA, China. It's a memorial from Vanuatu and China. That's a special one, yeah, that's the latest that comes out. After we collect them, we bring them up, and that's what we do. We just separate them from this piece of wood here, just to dry them off. Get the water off it, the water will drain out to the wood, and then we just take them upstairs to post them to the post house in town.
I hope these are the right size.
The underwater post office is about 5 meters underwater and 40 meters from the shore. Only a proficient diver can go there to collect postcards. As the most senior postman, Kevin dives down to the underwater post office whenever someone needs to mail a postcard. The post office is nothing more than a large can, just wide enough to fit one person, but has been in operation for 15 years. With Kevin's help, Anna experiences the joy of sending a postcard underwater. Kevin has been doing this job for the last 9 years and loves it because he gets to dive every day.
I chose this job probably about 9 years ago. I really love being underwater when the first time I go under, so yeah. I plan to be underwater rather than out of the water. So far, this is the only underwater post office in the world. So whenever you go, this is the only underwater post.
More adventures await in deep waters. Near Espiritu Santo Island is a site of hidden treasures called $1 Million Corner. Rails, cranes, and cannons are covered by thick seaweed and coral here. These military supplies were sunk or deserted during the Second World War and are said to have been worth millions of dollars at the time. Alma is the project manager of the South Pacific Ocean World War II Museum. He's raising funds to build a museum in the city.
This item was donated by a local Vanuatu young man who found this just about 5 kilometers from here, and he brought it in wanting to know what it is. Well, he had some idea what it is, so he brought it in and was hoping that we could help in finding more information about it.
Many countries in the South Pacific region were heavily impacted by World War II. Espiritu Santo Island was the most important material supply base in the Pacific War and accommodated 500,000 Allied soldiers, 4 times the local population. All the soldiers who headed for the battlefields of the Solomons passed through here. While it was very close to the fighting, Vanuatu was never really invaded. The Allies left a large amount of military supplies when they withdrew, which were either dumped into the sea or deserted on the island.
The reason why we want to do this is because this island and town was involved in a big way during World War II, especially for the Pacific War, and given its important history, we're wanting to be able to bring back to life this part of history and be able to tell that story. There's still a lot more. Like even the town itself is part of what we will show.
In fact, the Allies' occupation of Espiritu Santo Island during World War II had a positive impact. In the only air attack by Japanese forces, only one cow was injured. The Allies greatly improved the infrastructure of Espiritu Santo Island and in downtown Port Vila. Today, more than 70 years later, much of that infrastructure is still in use. The rainy season has just ended, and it's time for the sweet potato harvest. Between April and May, the sweet potato vines in the fields become especially tough and tensile. This is when the local people prepare for the annual Noghole Challenge. Every year, the locals celebrate the sweet potato harvest by holding a unique ceremony. Known as Noghole, which means land diving, challengers jump from a tall tower with only a vine tied to their ankles. This is an annual ceremony unique to southern Pentecost Island. Many local men have participated in this death-defying event. Simon is one of them.
It's on your free will. If you want to jump, you just give in your name, and then they allocate a place for you on the platform, whether above or below. You're brave, you want to go above, you can go above. If it's your first time, you are brave, you want to go right above, go above.
After 5 weeks of work, the 16-meter-tall jump tower is almost completed. The jumpers have to choose their level according to their courage and ability. Selecting the vines is crucial. The jumpers must continuously test the length and elasticity of the vine to make sure that when they reach the lowest point, they are still a safe distance from the ground. The Noghole Challenge is only for the brave. The reason is clear from its more commonly used name, the death jump.
Sometimes people die. Sometimes people break their spinal cord here. They go to the hospital, they die. There are several people who die already.
The men who participate in the challenge risk their lives, as there is no safety precaution other than the vine tied to their ankles. As well as being a celebration of the harvest, the challenge is also a rite of passage. As the killing of a lion signifies entry into adulthood for the Maasai in Africa, boys on Pentecost Island have to make a Noghole jump to become men. 12-year-old Paul decides to take the challenge. He's preparing to jump the next day with the other men in the tribe. To show piety and reduce his body weight, Paul will fast the day before the ceremony. His mother is preparing food for him to eat after the jump. Paul looks a bit nervous. In 18 hours, he will make his first Noghole jump. In the morning, everyone makes final preparations. At 9 o'clock, the villagers gather around the tower. Paul is the first to take the challenge. He climbs up the platform without any hesitation. His fellow villagers cheer him on. He prays before taking the plunge. Paul has completed his first ever Noghole jump. The ceremony continues, and the men challenge themselves with higher jumps. For them, it's a chance to demonstrate their courage and strength. The man who challenges the highest level is deemed the bravest man in the jungle. This crazy pastime spread throughout the world after first being introduced to New Zealand and has developed into what is known today as the bungee jump. But the original and most extreme version is still practiced in its birthplace, Vanuatu. Deep in the jungles of these islands live some of the earliest tribes of the South Pacific region. They follow the most traditional tribal lifestyles, customs, and systems. The Melanesians, who are natives of Tanna Island, are a typical example. After lunch, Rowling and the other women adorn their faces with colorful paints. They are now ready to perform the Tanna dance.
The people gather together. They dance with that kind of dance to make them happy. I learned dancing when I was a little girl.
The dance does not have any musical accompaniment. The villagers simply gather in circles, clap their hands, stamp their feet, and sing. The women surround the men, and the men surround the children. They dance to anything that makes them happy, whether it's a harvest or a visiting guest. The clothes of these indigenous people are made of nothing but grasses and leaves. In their culture, they prefer not to be restrained by anything. In her village of fewer than 100 residents, Rowling is the only English speaker.
Like nowadays, some of the kids are going to school, but we send them to school, but when they come back, they must follow the rules for the chief.
In Vanuatu's traditional tribes, the chief is head of the village. His decisions have the same force as laws. There are also strict taboos that must be observed. Women are not allowed to enter particular areas. Neither are they allowed to drink kava or even watch it being made. Their daily work involves preparing food and managing the fields. It's a lifestyle that Rowling seems very satisfied with.
I feel very happy because if we use the Western things, we must have work or job to do it to earn money to buy anything from the shop. Some other villages around Tanna Island, they are losing the culture now. So we will still keep ours.
But not everyone on the island adheres so strictly to the traditional way of life. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, but John and his family, who live on the other end of Tanna Island, are already up and about. He has to get to his office before 7 a.m. John is a surveyor for the highway construction project on the island. He and his family are very grateful for this job. The tribal customs may still exist, but John chooses to live in a more modern iron hut. He makes a good income from his work and even has a Facebook page where he posts photos of the changes taking place on the island.
This is what the road used to be like. It's muddy and dangerous. No cars, no buses can go. Only four-wheel drive. These are some of my best friends, and this one, I think he's been here for nearly 4 years now. I have 3,982 members, and every day I update pictures so they can see what the project is all about.
John says goodbye to his family and starts his day's work.
1, 2, 3, go!
The highway that's being constructed on Tanna Island is an aid project. A Chinese construction company does the main work.
I'm very, very happy, more than happy working with the Chinese people. They are my friend, and I am their friend.
The highway provides convenience for villagers living in the mountains and builds friendships. It has made the international community more closely connected with Vanuatu, and more changes are likely to come. Whether they choose to preserve their traditions or make changes, the people of Vanuatu are happy with their present lives. 29-year-old Vanessa is a pop singer, chasing her musical dreams in the capital city, Port Vila. She is appearing on a radio show to perform Shine Pacific, the song that she's most proud of.
Kwai in the studio and her daddy, Mr. Kwai. Welcome. Thank you.
Vanessa started studying music at the age of 6 with her father as her teacher. Vanessa insists on writing her own songs as she wants to express the lives and dreams of the people on the island.
My connection comes back to my island. When I started my music, I wanted to put all my traditional sound from my island, Ambai. My drive to do music is to show Vanuatu and what Vanuatu is.
In December 2017, at the 10th Pacific Mini Games held in Vanuatu, Vanessa sang this song at the end of the closing ceremony. The singing and dancing never stops at Vanuatu. Aboriginal and modern communities coexist like water and fire, or both sides of a coin. On this magical land, the sound of beautiful music will echo through the waves forever.